Good night. I mean, holy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to the channel. As you've seen in the community page and on some of my other posts, yes, I'm looking to part ways with my existing shop. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, like, what? Like, what's going on? So, if you've been watching on my videos and on some of my posts over the last 6 months or so, my shop has actually started developing issues, mainly the concrete floor. I mean, it's starting to get cracks in it. It's starting to settle. We're having drainage issues. I'm starting to have electrical issues. My shop ceilings are nowhere near as high as I need them to be. And believe it or not, I do not have enough room for all our cars down here. I need to get everything under one roof out here where we can keep everything like under control, contained, climate controlled, where we can work on it, where we have access to it, parts. I need to have like my main office down here rather at the house. I'm wanting to get into merch. I don't have the room for that here. So we're kind of like subbing that out. There's just a lot of different variables that are involved in this decision, starting with this concrete. So if you give me a second, I'll kind of take you down a rabbit hole with that, and then we'll explain to you kind of what we're looking at doing. So let's get started. Okay, first things for me is the cracks. We're starting to get some pretty enormous cracks, and they are going from east to west all the way across my shop. I don't know, about every 10 foot or so. And if I stomp on the floor, I mean, we're starting to get hollow under here, and I think it's mainly just because of drainage. Here's another crack that's working all the way to the other side of the shop. Here's another one working all the way to the edge of the shop. I mean, they're about every 10 feet. Here's another one. With the exception of the new concrete we poured there, mainly just for the safety of the lift, the shop floor is, you know, it's starting to get pretty bad. And I know some of you are looking at this like, man, that's just cosmetic. That could last another 50 years, so on and so forth. Yes, that is true. It could last that long. But for me, it's just like, I need something bigger for the channel. I'm wanting to grow my channel. I'm not in this just for subs. I'm not in this just for, you know, the short haul, if that makes sense. I'm in this to do this for forever. I love it. I absolutely love doing what I'm doing. I absolutely love working on these cars and preserving the cars, some of them, destroying some of the others. And this is just what I want to do until essentially I'm gone, is what I'm saying. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to have everything I need right here. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Keep on keeping on, if you know what I'm saying. You know, like my lifts, I can't get them but 4 foot off the ground because the cars wanted to hit the ceilings. And I knew that buying them, but I would rather sit in a chair than lay on my back. But I would rather stand all the way up and work on them too, if that makes sense. So how all of this started is this floor, is what I'm saying. So we started pricing concrete. And if you've done any concrete work here in the last couple of years, good night. It's anywhere from $150 to $400 a yard. And there is a lot of yards in here, especially when you want it 6, 8, 10 inches thick, kind of like what I'm wanting. I'm thinking 8 across the board. And then while I was at it, I'm like, I'm wanting to concrete my driveway too, which goes all the way up around the house. I mean, you can see how far away my truck is. And then from my truck all the way to the road. So I had that section there priced all the way to here, and it was like $70,000. Simply because all the grading work, you know, getting everything prepped, getting everything ready, having material hauled in, material hauled out, and all that jazz. And I'm like, that didn't even include the shop floor. So we're probably looking at another 30 grand, 25, 30 grand just for my shop. So now I'm into the 6 figures just for concrete, not including the dirt, you know, all the other jazz to make it nice, drainage, so on and so forth, you know, saw cutting and getting everything ready for that. Forget it. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to go that far, let's just see how far I'm willing to go. So when we started looking into this, we had people come out and give us an idea of what it's going to take. Here, I'll walk you up here real quick. It's going to take a second. But this goes all the way up kind of a small grade of a hill up here to where my truck's at. Let me get up there. Here's some carrots, old carrots we had and we threw out for the rabbits because If I bring anybody out here early in the morning, there's probably 50 rabbits out here running around. We got wildlife like you wouldn't believe out here. It's unreal, and I'm not complaining, I love it. We love sitting out here on the back porch or on that deck out there and watching the wildlife, which is awesome. Okay, I'm up here at the top of the hill. Here's our house garage, which is probably gonna be the BRG workplace for a while. But then my driveway continues all the way down here to the main road. So essentially I'm wanting to run concrete from there all the way down to my shop. But when I'm doing that, I want all of this nice. So I'm gonna want curbs poured, have my grass come up to the edge of my driveway, make it look really, really nice. So now back down to the shop. Now, as you all know, if you've been watching my videos, the shop sustained some pretty decent damage over the last couple of years from high winds, tornadoes, so on and so forth. Like the metal up there on them eaves, is all bent over, tore up and jazz. Gutters are useless. The band boards behind the gutters are all rotted out. Some of the posts are rotted out. So I got to looking at shops, and mine currently now I think's 108 by, might be 110 by 48, whatever. So I got to looking at shop designs out there, that you can order essentially everything and then you have to pay to have it built, which is fine. I'm down with that. So the new shop, I want it to be 100 wide, 100 deep, and then have a 16-foot addition on the back, and I'll show you why here in a second. And then my ceilings in that shop will be 18 feet tall, which is perfect for the cars and the lifts, right? And I'll get to the lifts here in a minute because I'm using the word lifts. Now, here's the first stage of my problems, right? Is we got the grade that comes down, and the shop's ground was actually worked, and it's sitting on a high point here, and then I have a drive that comes around and goes back to the tractor barn so we can get hay to the cattle, so on, so forth. But now that's 48 feet, approximately. I think it's 47 foot 10 inches, whatever. What? I'm filming here. What do you want? Let them get over there. All right, hello. So essentially what we're gonna do is double that, right? So I'm gonna take this another 50 foot this way, which is essentially gonna be inside that barn. So now what do I do? So we got to kicking it around with some people. Now keep in mind, next Saturday, the professionals are gonna be here. We got a general contractor coming. They're gonna help us figure this out. We've got some ideas. I'll explain that to you. And then if and when this happens, because we got weather to play with, we've got, cattle to work with, we've got filming to work with, like, what am I going to do with the channel? What am I going to do with the cars? It's a mess. But anyway, so that will be all the way to here. So this barn's got to be tore down and completely gone. So we'll get rid of all of this. Now I've got roughly 5 foot of grade here I've got to deal with to run out 50 feet. And the further I go back, the further the slope's going to get, right? So I think from talking, what we're going to do is we'll tear this shop down all the way. They'll come in and pour concrete walls, all the way out, fill that in with material, and then that'll be the new base for the floor of the new shop. And then they'll run to this grade up. But we're going to move the shop forward about 10 feet this way. So the corner of the shop's here. Essentially, it's going to be moved up to about right here at the beginning of my driveway. It goes down into the shop to here. So everything's going to be moved forward. That's probably closer to 20 feet. They'll grade all this out to fit to get everything in here. And that's less concrete out to pour back air, more on solid ground here. And then they'll come in and grade and remove all of this jazz out, put new concrete in, new dirt, kind of come in, move some earth around, probably have to bring some dirt in. And then what we'll do is we'll slope the entire property down, which will probably get into my cattle field here. And this is probably where everybody's going to go for a while, because the fence here goes way back there in them woods, and that'll give all the animals natural shelter from the elements versus, man-made shelter for now. And then once we get the shop completely built here, what'll happen at the back of the shop back there is we'll have a 16-foot lean-to that comes off the back of the shop. So essentially you're going to be looking at a concrete wall this way, and that's what, the animals will be able to get in there, move around, and it's not going to hurt anything. And then it'll have a lean-to off like this, And that's where we can put hay, the animals can hide, so on and so forth, because they technically have a pond. I know you can't see it right now, but it's back, way back here by them trees. And then there's a lake down here at the bottom where everybody can get water. Whew. Well, that's a lot. So now the positive part to all of this is I already have all the utilities here to the shop. I have electric, I have water, I have sewage, I have everything here I need as far as that goes. But what am I going to do with everything? I mean, we're going to have to get rid of all the cars we currently have in there, all my tools. So a lot of that's going to have to go in storage with the other cars. And then we're probably going to have to use the house garage to make content in. And that's going to be interesting because that's where Kathy keeps her cars. And some's going to have to sit outside is what I'm saying. And then in the shop, once the new shop's built, where that yellow wall is, that's going to go again 50 some feet that way. Now the plan of the layout is up here in the front will be 3 bay doors. You know, one, probably 2 doors about this size and one a little bit bigger and taller. And then what I plan on the back wall is to run 5 wildfire double wide lifts, right? So that will hold 20 cars, and then I could put 10 more in the front. So I could put 30 cars just there for storage. And then I'll have an additional, let's see, 80 feet of room in front of that, which would technically be this way for shop operations, right? I could have a lift for working on the cars. I could have like Miss Mabel in one bay, or I'm sorry, Hot Mess in one bay, Mabel go in storage. I could have a bay for Homer, a bay for the RT, a bay for this NASCAR tribute we're gonna build, a bay for whatever, with their own toolboxes, their own electrical, their own everything. That way we're not dragging tools across the shop. Everything has its own bay to be worked on. And then when we're doing charity work to help people get their cars fixed, we'll have a bay for that. I mean, we'll have room for everything. So essentially I could get a silkscreen machine in here to do our own merch, but Squirt take care of that. I could have my office down here where we could do lives down here. Everything essentially BRG related would be done in the new shop, everything. So I could separate our home living, you know, our peace and quiet, our, you know, unplugged from the world up there at the house, and then everything BRG related, which is essentially, you know, 6-7 days a week now as it is, down here. And that's exactly what I want. It's gonna be freaking epic. The only thing that I'm worried about, I'm not gonna lie, is the downtime, right? I mean, we'll have the construction content. That'd be cool. But most of that will probably go on the outdoor channel, some of it here. But, you know, we're getting ready to do a full build on Hot Mess. So, you know, that's going to be interesting. But again, roughly 10 days from now, everybody's going to be here to kind of throw their opinions in and seeing what we're going to do. And to be honest with you, this is probably $250,000. I mean, for the new shop, the new concrete, all the grade work, the dirt work, the lifts, the tools, getting everything that we don't have here, get it here, and go from there with it, right? Now, I know some of the people that are going to be watching this is like, why are you doing that? You only got so many subs and so many views, and so who cares, right? I did this before YouTube. I'm going to do it after YouTube. You know, I just love the community we have here, and the community that we have here, I will take that over 1 million subs all day long and twice on Sunday. Now, if we have 1 million subs and we have, you know, 10,000 people in the chat when we do lives and commenting on the videos, and again, being a community, fine, cool, I love that. That's awesome. The more like-minded people, the better, right? But, you know, I don't need 1 million subs and 1 million views every week to build a shop, right? I'm going to continue collecting cars. I'm going to continue working on cars. I'm going to continue investing in those for the future of my kids and grandkids, regardless of YouTube. But I think this is going to be cool that everybody that's invested in this channel, and there's a boatload of you that are members, there's a boatload of you that are subscribers just, you know, cheering us along. There's a bunch of sponsors to the channel, people that help us out, like, you know, Summit, TNF Signs, Alky Digger, Advanced Auto Parts, LRB. I mean, there are so many, it's unfreaking believable, that are cheering us along for this. So we're going to keep doing it, but I am as excited as I'll get out to see what's going to happen and where it's going to go and what we're going to do. And as usual, I'm going to take you guys along for the ride. But I'm hoping we can get started this year, because obviously they're not going to be doing a lot of this in the winter unless we have a mild winter. And it's all going to depend on what, what entails up front. I know that the shop materials, that's $100,000 up front. I know the concrete's going to be another $100,000 up front. That doesn't include the lifts, the HVAC for central air, all the little stuff that always bites you in your rear end to get your office stuff set up, panty-anty stuff, the drainage. I mean, I could go on for days. It's going to be unreal, but I know it's going to be worth it. At the end of the day, if YouTube tanks and my car stuff tanks, it's still going to add that value to our farm. You know what I mean? We're out here in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. You guys have seen it a million times. I mean, we are out here, in the middle of God's country, and if something ever happens where Kathy and I are like, psh, we're going to live in an RV the rest of our life and we're going to sell the farm and just whatever, somebody somewhere is going to want a 100-acre farm with a beautiful home, a pool, all this stuff, and then a massive 10,000 square foot shop. I mean, it's a win-win either way. But anyway, I just wanted to come show you guys all this. It's going to be sick. I'm hoping we can get the ball rolling and see what happens. And again, we're going to take you along for the ride. So anyway, yeah, so we're just going to see what happens over the next few days. In the meantime, we're getting ready to head to New England. Where's my hand? We're getting ready to head to New England with Homer, or Connecticut, up there at Stafford Speedway, and get ready to see what we can do with him there. And then we've got Power Fest, and then we've got a deal with Hidden Motorsports. We might run up to their little shindig up in Michigan. Streetcar Takeover in Indy, which is next weekend, I think, with Skids for Kids. I mean, there's a lot going on is what I'm saying. So we got to keep Homer healthy and go from there. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. I really do. And let's just see how far this rabbit hole goes. And I think it's amazing that you're all hanging on for the ride. So anyway, we'll catch you next time. BRG out.